Some of us have the great fortune of living with aging and wonderful parents in the village. Some returnees don't have parents, of course, because as we grow older, we lose parents. There's an increasing number of folks that I've been talking to lately who are surviving incredibly insane experiences with very toxic parents who are very old, and they have to deal with this because when we come back home, these folks are not going anywhere. So, in the next 10 minutes, I want to talk with you about surviving incredibly toxic parents who are aging in the village when you come back. You know very well we love the village and it's always wonderful. However, some things are tough, and we have to be honest and talk about both experiences. But as always, before we unpack all of that, this is another incredible day. I'm actually behind my brother's home. Many of you guys who watch me regularly know exactly where I am. And this morning we're just harvesting pawpaws. And this apoyo, my friend, if you've heard me say before, they're very small. As you can see, they fit within my palm, but they are the tastiest pawpaw you've ever had. I promise you, the only way to experience this is to come visit me in Karating, France. Welcome to Kisumu, Karating, France. We are in the western part of Kenya, just enjoying the best, the very best of what a quiet, simple life in the village offers. As you've seen in my previous videos, there's always something ready. Like you see, this morning I've got these incredibly tasty, ripe pawpaws, 100% organic, planted only chicken manure, and we're good to go. So today we're not going to do much. I'm just going to show you what a chill day is like for us in the village. I'm not planning on doing anything. Today is just a chill day with the supervisors. And so they're out joining me on our morning fruit run. And then we'll just be chilling. We're not doing anything important today other than just chilling. So I want you to join me this morning. Come with us. Enjoy as we walk around, get our fruits, and just lazy the day away. All right, friends, if you have not subscribed, we need you to get us to 100K. We need to get to 100K before the end of the year. A lot of people watch us, millions of people watch us. Some of you all have not subscribed. If you're one of those, please just check if you're one of those, add your name to it. And then, as you all know, I'm a Kenyan American who is coming back. Now, the building you see in front of me belongs to my brother, and the one down is my home. And all these structures have been built by my teams. If you need help with contractors, architects, builders, and things like that, I'm happy to make connections, and hopefully you can get similar things or things that are better in the village, friends. So anyway, that said, as I was mentioning earlier, there are many returnees who don't have parents, whose parents are passed. That's life. There are those of us who come back and still have our very old folks around. Some of those old folks are incredibly amazing. Like my folks, I experience the best of what a mother has. And if you have that, you know exactly what that means. But there's a select group of returnees who unfortunately come back home after being away for years and have to live with very old or relatively aging parents who are wildly toxic. This morning, I actually just got a call from a guy who is thinking about going back to Europe. He's only been in Kenya for about 2 years, and his mom is on another level when it comes to toxicity. I will not share too much because, again, what we've talked about is privileged, but he's on the verge of going back to Europe. And so I had to remind him why we do what we got to do, why we do what we do. And hopefully he changes his mind, because I don't want him to go back. And when I say this, I've noted as I speak to different folks, I hear nearly identical stories from one person to the next. Nearly the same story in terms of its key ingredient. The only difference is the degree of craziness that these toxic parents present. But otherwise, you'll find very similar themes across the different stories. So here are some of the key things you might experience if you're living with a toxic parent in the village when you come back. Number one, one of the most common things is that the only thing they value in you is your money. And for these parents, whenever money comes up, it's like everything changes. Money absolutely changes everything. And the only thing that is important is money. They could not care less about anything else. That's a classic symptom. The second thing is that some of these parents play like they have like a preferred child over another. And clearly, you are not their preferred child. Not that anybody cares to be the favorite quote unquote child. But these parents have this habit of having preferred kids amongst many, whatever that may be. And that often means they could not care less about your own interest. They're not interested in your children, what you're doing, your health. They don't even bother to ask how you woke up or how are the kids. Like they could not care less about anything else that's going on in your personal life. They don't see you as a person. Very, very common. Number 4, what's interesting is that a lot of these toxic parents seem to be very generous and kind when it comes to other siblings or when it comes to other people. I've never understood this phenomenon where on the one hand you have somebody who is wildly toxic with one child, and then with other kids or the other humans, they are some of the nicest people you can ever imagine. Never understood that. And then often they have the habit of terrorizing the people you love. If they don't like you, then the people you like are the ones they are going to go after. For example, when you have a toxic mother and she knows you have a good relation with your father, she's going to spend her waking hours terrorizing the father you have in the village. And it makes it even worse when your father has to depend on her. So these toxic folk have the habit of not only making life difficult for you, but they target the people they think are close to you. In many cases, of course, they make sure that they cut you off from the other folks. Now, I see this a lot when you hear parents who are poisoning siblings against each other, where they say, okay, if you're going to be close to me, you have to cut off so-and-so. For whatever reason. They want to make sure that the other siblings have no connection with you. And so this idea of playing siblings against each other is also very common with these particular parents. Why they do this, I don't know. But I've seen so many things happen, some far worse than what I'm able to describe here. In fact, some of them are really graphic. Because I've had even cases where parents a while back used to sexually molest these returnees who are now coming back. And those traumas are not gone. So the one difference is that the one unique thing too with this group is that these elements of toxicity did not start later on in life. These folks have always been toxic. I'm yet to meet a single parent who started being toxic later on. I'm sure there's probably examples, but nearly all of the examples that I've run into, you find that these are folks who have been toxic their entire lives. It didn't start recently. So if you're a person who is dealing with any of those things, I want to tell you that you're not alone. There are many returnees or the other folks who have never left Kenya who are surviving things like that. Many of them had the hopes that as these people age, then they would become better. It doesn't seem to work. As they grow old, some of them even become bitter. So here are some of the things that I would recommend if you find yourself in this spot. Number 1 is that the biggest step in resolving this is the capacity for you to accept and move on. A lot of us still hold on to that hope that someday this person is going to change. It never works. These people are never going to change. So you need to get to the place in life, I don't know how, where you can accept that, hey, this is what they're going to do, and then move forward from there. Number 2, after you accept, you have to stop making sacrifices for these folks. Whether it means sacrificing your time, whether it means sacrificing your money, whether it means sacrificing your comfort. Like in this case where this gentleman is thinking about going back to Europe. There's a reason he left Europe. And the village has been exceptionally kind for him. So I was just asking him, where you live right now, you are happiest. Besides what your parent is doing, you're really happy. So when you sacrifice your happiness for the sake of a person who does not care about you, you are letting them win at what cost? So don't ever stop making any sacrifices, whether it's your money, your time, your peace, your comfort. Stop making any sacrifices. So this idea of unreturning, if there's any word like that, should not even be there, because you can live a life with these people out. And that leads us to the next point: boundaries. Set boundaries, and that sometimes can include zero contact. Just cut them off, move forward. And that can also include avoiding their networks. And by their networks, I mean not physical places where they go, I mean avoiding people who are close to them. If you meet a person who is close to a toxic individual, there's always a possibility that things fly. And in those circles, you can only imagine the kinds of conversations that go on there. So not only do you need to cut them off, but there are people who are really tight with them. You need to stay away from those folks. And then that said, I always say find time and talk to somebody intelligent. And I'm not talking about a person with a PhD or a person who is educated, all that. No. Or a person who got like an A in chemistry. No. When I talk about an intelligent person, I'm not even talking about your religious leaders or cultural warriors. I'm talking about a person who has the capacity to listen to you, empathize, acknowledge your experience, validate your truth, but is also, most importantly, wise enough to point you areas of growth. A lot of people who have survived toxic parent tend to find themselves in the same circles, and you need to break that circle. So there's some habits that you may be bringing into the scenario that is not helping. So when I'm talking about an intelligent person, that should be a person who should be able to gently and wisely guide you away from the habits that get you back to those positions. So find that. And usually I stay away from religious folks or cultural warriors who will always tell you a parent is a parent. As an African, survive and suffer for the rest of your life. And then most importantly, fill your calendar with the things that give you joy. I don't care what those things are. Be happy with the things that give you joy. Well, I hope that's useful for today, folks, and I'll see you in the next video.